Hey, Microsoft 365 Nation, Harry Brailsford back at you again with yet another periodic content contribution and a new contributor that has been part of our broader community for some times. Mike Hanauer? Mike, is that right? Hanauer?
Yes, it's Hanauer, but people pronounce it wrong my whole life. If it starts with an H, I'll reply.
Okay, that's fine. So, sir, you're in a new startup in the security realm. We're going to get to that in a moment, but why don't you first introduce yourself to the community? You came from a well-known player, Datto. Let's get it from there. What's your story?
Yeah, so I started with Datto back in 2011 as a sales engineer. There were about 25 employees at the time, and as everybody has sort of seen the growth of the company over the last few years, I was a part of that through the venture capital funding, the acquisition, the private equity purchase. So it was an absolutely incredible ride, and it was my first foray into the managed service provider community, and the partnerships and relationships that you can build within that community are just absolutely unparalleled. So after about 8 years at Datto, I have made the jump to another company in a new emerging space. It's actually similar to how the BCDR market was when I joined Datto back in 2011, but I'm now the Chief Revenue Officer over at SKOUT Cybersecurity, and within my first 2-3 weeks of being an employee here, I attended DattoCon from my old company. So it was fun, and met Jenny there and had a great time.
Yeah, I heard good things about it this year. Darn it, I'll make it next year. So I'm looking over the SKOUT cybersecurity website, and it says, so let's double click into this as a hello world this month. It says augmenting human capabilities. I call that WetWare, between the ears.
Yep.
With artificial intelligence and machine learning. Now, something I haven't shared with you, but I've certainly shared with the community, is that I also do startups in addition to my obligations and roles at SMB Nation. And I spent 2 years at a predictive analytics big data startup in downtown Seattle, right by the Space Needle. So I actually have a background. Back in those days, we called it machine learning.
Yeah.
But why don't you connect the dots? What are you doing with AI and machine learning? That's very interesting to me.
Yeah, so what we're doing is we are, it's essentially cybersecurity automation and orchestration. So we have an existing stack of solution providers that we can use as far as endpoint protection, email, antivirus, and things along those lines. But we're vendor agnostic. So you don't need to use our stack. You're welcome to bring your own solution. And what we're going to do is take all of that information that we're gathering on the local network with a sensor that can be either a physical appliance or virtual. So we'll gather all of that information, whether it's logs or alerts, pretty much everything, and we'll send it over to our SOC, where we'll analyze everything, go through it, and send across to you what's relevant and important.
Yep. And because we're talking about Microsoft 365, which is, as I told you earlier, is a big enchilada, 3 legs. So we got Office 365 all the way through the highest levels. We got Windows, a billion plus seats, can't be wrong. And then we have the security mobility component. How might you play with a partner, an MSP in the Microsoft product stack specifically? It sounds like if API integrations into different solutions. How do you play?
Yeah, so it'll be through API integrations. Essentially, if it no matter where your data resides, if it interacts with the local network, we'll be able to pick it up, analyze it, analyze any threats, gather logs, and do all that. But again, as you know, the cybersecurity side of it is growing like crazy based on the threats. Currently, when you look at ransomware and hacking, and I mean what was it, city in Florida like 2 days ago just paid the biggest ransom ever.
Yeah.
$600,000 with no guarantee to get your data back. So yeah, I mean we want to prevent things like that, and our CEO Aiden has a vision that when I spoke with him the first time really resonated with me, that cybersecurity and enterprise level cybersecurity should be available to SMBs. And since SMBs are increasingly getting all of their IT services through managed service providers rather than hiring internal staff, it's sort of a no-brainer for us to fit right in there.
Yeah. Finally, for this segment, and again, this is our hello world, and next month we'll double click down into some of the more technical aspects, which I welcome. But I
might need some help with that. I'm only a month in.
Okay. Do you know of other shows your firm may be attending? And I'll rattle off a couple. The Microsoft Partner Conference, now called Inspire, mid-July, CompTIA, ChannelCon, early August. Any on your radar screen? I realize you're new on the job, or where might people see SKOUT?
Yeah, so we're going to be heavily involved in the MSP community as far as things like ASCII events, Exchange, the Microsoft Inspire event, like you said. Okay. We don't have our schedule booked quite yet.
Yeah, that's fine.
DattoCon was our first foray into our going MSP and going channel only. So we're analyzing what we're going to be attending the rest of the year, but it's important for us to be at as many events as possible to show the community that we're here to stay.
All righty, amen. All right, well, thank you, sir, and we will have a great 4th of July week. I'm calling it a week because of the way the day falls, people are taking the whole week off. We'll see you on the other side, my friend. Thank you.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.